Hey everybody, this is Steph Mishchuk with Killer Sites and KillerPHP.com. In this video blog, I'm going to talk about the web design profession, the web programming profession, in the context of this big economic slowdown. It's actually more of a slowdown. This is now definitely the worst economic situation since the Great Depression. And it actually can get worse, believe it or not. It's one of the things I follow on the side. I've been a web nerd for 15 or so years, but I've been a small business owner, an entrepreneur for longer. And so I have I keep my finger on the pulse of what's going on out there in that regard. And so how does this figure into web design or web programming? Well, what it comes down to is when you're looking at any given profession or any type of business, you really have to look at what's going on out there to gauge whether or not it makes sense to jump into it. And one of the questions that comes up, I think, the question that comes up fairly often is how viable the web design profession is, or the web programming profession is looking forward. And this is an important question because if you were thinking about getting into the real estate business now in the US or Canada, that would probably be a bad idea, given that we just came off the biggest boom in real estate history, and the whole thing is crumbling, and it's going to continue to crumble for another year or two or more. Anyhow, so back to that again, you have to really consider where things are going, not where they've been. You have to, so you can position yourself properly to take advantage of these changes. The good news is that when it comes to web design and web programming, this economic upheaval is actually presents a lot of opportunity for people who are willing to take the time to jump into it. You see, two things happen when you have these economic upheavals. First of all, people lose jobs because a lot of businesses go under. And another thing that happens is when businesses go under, people lose jobs because there's a lot of downsizing. A lot of people start building small businesses, whether it be, landscaping business or growing your own garden vegetables, organic food, or making custom clothes. I don't know. You're going to see, I believe, over the next few years and moving forward, many more self-employed people, small business owners. And anybody who knows anything knows that for small business, the easiest way to reach out to people, to get new clients, or to communicate with established clients is through a website. That's clear. So I see actually a nice increase in demand for web design services throughout Europe, North America, and around the world. I think that though the web has grown a lot in the last 10 years or so, 10, 15, it's still a lot more, there's still a lot more growth ahead of it because of this, they call it a secular change. It's a huge change in the fundamental nature of the economy. For instance, print is now taking a total beating, a total shellacking now because of the internet. Magazines are going under, and the web is becoming the place for newspapers, magazines, that kind of stuff. So a lot of print people are having to migrate from print design to web design. And I've spoke to this in another video, so I'm not going to get into it here. The point is that the move is towards the web. And as such, web designers, web programmers who are trained properly, who understand what to concentrate on and where to focus, they can do very, very well, whether as independent contractors or maybe you're going to start your own web design company or getting a job for an established web design firm or web programming firm. This is a great profession to get into. Another great thing about the web design profession, unlike so many others, is that it's truly a meritocracy. Basically, you get ahead if you're capable and you're good at what you do. You see, economists don't have that problem. So economists is about who you know, because these guys never perform. It's like the weathermen. They can never tell you what the weather's going to be. So, but they still get their jobs. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending how you want to look at it, in the web field, if you're capable, if you can show that you can do good work and you can produce, you will get the good gigs, jobs, and you will get the good pay. So it's a good thing. That means that if you're willing to spend the time and effort, you will find yourself in a good position. So I like that, because I'm kind of anti-crony capitalist after you've seen what all the junk that you see in governments and all the what the Wall Street bankers have done. So it's a good thing. Another great thing about the web design business is that it allows people a much more flexible lifestyle. And this is great for younger people as it is for baby boomers. You can find yourself being able to do web work for people, web design or basic programming from your home and part-time. It's not one of these jobs where you have to be somewhere at some time and you have to show up and you have to dress a certain way. None of that exists, thankfully. None of that exists in the web world. So if you're a baby boomer and you got a total beating in your 401k because of the stock market scam, everybody's down at least 40%. You might be looking for an alternative stream of income where you don't have to break your back to get into it. And you may want to just work part-time. This is a great thing to get into because it's just the nature of the web. For us at Killer Sites, we have our core group, but I bring in a lot of contractors to help us out with the programming and the building of things. Of course, a lot of these people have been working for me for many years now, but nonetheless, it's one of those professions where you have that flexibility. You can work from home. You can you can work part-time, full-time, whatever you like. And the pay is pretty good once you get the skill sets in there. And in terms of age discrimination, I don't think it's going to be there. Especially, there's not a lot of face-to-face with people. And if you just produce good work, you put out good sites or write, clean code, I don't think people are going to mind too much about whether you're 25 or 65 or older. And in fact, I've had people, they've told me through email anyway, I have every reason to believe them, that people, like I had this woman who was 90 years old. Finally I get to the point. She was 90 years old learning web design. I don't think she was doing it to get a job, but it was just something to, for fun, a hobby for her to work her mind. Anyway, the point is, and to summarize, if you're looking at web design or web programming as a profession, I think you're going to find that the trend is very favorable towards the web design professions and the web programming professions. If you approach it properly and you're trained properly, you don't want to use old school web design techniques. You don't want to think like you had to think 5, 6, 7 years ago. You got to think about now and today. And of course, we cover all that in our courses. Thanks for watching. I'm Steph Mischuk.